wide, and immediately Hammerstead has to tuck into line. Probably quite smart to go through the middle of that final chicane there, as he can extend a bit of an advantage over the rest. Do we get through cleanly here? The top 10 or so certainly do, and the fact that Pinto went so early, I think has stretched the field out quite nicely, helping everybody get through turn number 1.
Yeah, very early green flag. Unfortunately, a spinner just in the background towards the back of the field. Pinto in control of this race so far. Cars rapid through this infield section, coming into the hairpin for the very first time.
This is going to be a big chance on the opening lap. Hammerstead had a look there, but he didn't go for it down the inside, and that's probably for the best. You don't want to get caught up in a lap 1 incident, and indeed there are penalties being applied if indeed there are any infractions of the rules down the races. So cleanly through the opening sector, it seems, and out onto the banking for the first time proper here in anger. Onto the back straight chicane now, where they'll be getting as close to the wall as possible, and yes, they can just dip below that blue line briefly as they come out of the chicane, and then back onto the banking all over again. It's Pinto, Hammerstead, Casabon, Pai and Sobrero, the top 5 coming into the final chicane on a very clean opening lap. Further in the background, yes, it's Tokala trying to gain places on Gregory Hovson, and he gets up into the top 10.
Yeah, a very clean opening lap in total. Not too many passes in that Roval section, but I expect to see stuff brewing coming down the exit of turn number 1 for 14th position. A battle between Altitude Freem and Sim RC coming through the first opening section. Looks to be holding position for the time being, but yeah, these cars are so quick around this circuit. I remember watching them just start. It feels like I've been watching GTPs for the last hour. It feels like these things are absolutely rapid in comparison. Maybe it was due to some of the fuel saving we saw. Coming on to the banking now for the second time. We're going to see a battle a little bit further back. I think it's between, I want to say Impulse, but that's definitely not correct. One of the Grid and Go entries battling round just near one of the BS competition entries as we head into the chicane for the second time.
Sorry, Will, it's taken me 9 minutes to forget to unmute my microphone. It's a new record, that. Anyway, into the final chicane goes the battles again. Michael Romanidis under pressure here from Nicola Ferroni, and he's going to get through there, Ferroni, very easily. Nicely done down the inside, and he is up to 12th place. Ahead of Romanidis, who's not going to go down, lying down, and in towards turn 1, he's going to get back in front. Piatek passes Constant Schaaf meantime as well, so nice overtake for 7th position too. It's a steady stream of passes happening here, and this is what we saw last night in the Radical Esports Cup race, by the way, on RaceSpot TV. There was a waiting period really through some of the parts of the race, but it was certainly possible to make overtakes around here, and it wasn't as if there were guys letting one another through. Well, there was a bit of that as well, but you could work on a pass round here in towards the sharp hairpin, and this again is going to be one of the big places. You can see a few people just protecting the inside line on the way down there.
Yeah, super tricky corner. It is definitely faster to hug that white line, but it's a tricky corner to match your braking and just absolutely maximize it. You know, there's no ABS in this car, similar to the Acura that just went previously, and you can see them all mounting that curb on the entry to the chicane. Super important for the lap time here, but Pinto holding a commanding lead of half a second at the moment, and he's looking to probably open that up as Kawanda maybe make a move for 3rd.
There's a look there from Oscar Pai on Thibaut Casabon, but not able to get past on that occasion down in towards the final chicane. As we've been mentioning, really, red line have got to be pegged back a little bit here by Coanda, and it's, oh dear, it looks like there's trouble in the background meantime. As you can see, a number of people flying down the field. Andre Castro may have been involved in it, and I think multiple others as well. Hovson seemed to be dropping a couple of places. Konstantinov seemed to be just overtaken by Darren McCormack, but he lost a place as well in all of that. So as they try and make moves, maybe there's a little bit of contact. I mean, the final chicane is definitely the candidate for that because it is so tight, and here is what happened. In towards the chicane, number of lockups, and spinning on the exit there was Tokala, I think from 10th position, and so that's how one of the cars got caught up behind. And then in the background there was a different spinner as well. I think that, well, not sure. I think Hovson was the one caught up behind Tokala actually, who's seemingly lost his rear wing, and he's going to be really struggling now.
Yeah, this track seems really tricky at the exit. Cars are absolutely flying all over the place. 3 wide on the chicane exit. Hopefully no contact. I'm not even sure what happened there.
No, No, that was a proper vault over the curves from Nicolo Fironi, who's having to go to the outside now through the banking and let the others all through on the inside line. There they go. A look down the inside meantime in the background as well from another one of the drivers into the final chicane. It's just madness at the moment in this part of the field. Again down the inside, and unfortunately Fironi has dropped off the top 16 and is not going to be returning to that anytime soon by the looks of things here. In towards 3 and 4 on the inside line and holding on nice. It's very long through 3 and 4 actually, and it's all one long corner really to deal with. That's Fironi staying in front of Leon Augustat, and just in front, by the way, Isaac Phelps was seeing off Zane Khan as well. But surely this is all going to happen down in towards the sharp hairpin now as they all look. Oh, Fironi's not content with keeping positions. He's trying to win some of those back again. This is a really crazy group at the moment, and Fironi does move to 16th.
Yeah, some really hard racing. I certainly hope he wasn't in a motion sim for this moment, because I think he had been sent flying. Just goes a little bit deep, a little bit of a snap on entry, proving that that radical suspension is very well built, and actually, in the grand scheme of things, gets off quite easily with what happened. Yeah,
got away with it really. Through the final part of the banking again here, and in towards the final chicane. This is again sort of just outside the top 16 where they're all fighting on at the moment. I think this is headed, but I mean, there's so many involved. I can't even comprehend who's in this group at the moment. Side by side over the line, Delta Sport. I think that is trying to make a move on the inside line. Maybe that's a little bit further back, actually, in the background. Yeah, it was as Delta Sport had a look to the inside, but not able to manage it. And they get single file in time for turns 1, 2, 3, 4 all over again. But this is pretty much stemming from Jürgen Frank in 11th position. And look at that in the background. Just nobody either dropping off the back of this train or indeed getting away from it at the front either.
Yeah, I was just noticing how powerful the toe is in this car. Just even the side drafting starting to just upset the airflow across the back of that wing and into the hairpin, maybe 3 wide between all of these lot. Fighting around the sort of positions. We move back up to the front of the field. Looks like Coanda have now made that move for 3rd position. Oscar Pai ahead of Thibaut Casabon, who looks to be sort of aero pushing him round the next corner. And Saburo makes it 3 wide almost.
In towards the final chicane again, but not this time. It's allowing the top 2 to get away, and you can see why the others are starting to get restless now. Casabon not able to stay with those front 2, and so Oscar Pai decides that now is the moment to strike, and there's still plenty of time left in this race, don't forget. So if he truly does have the speed here to go on and challenge for this race win, then he's got the time as well to catch up to those 2 leaders with only a 1 second advantage.
Yeah, potentially has the time here. Pai has, been involved in the Porsche Esports Super Cup for the very first time last year, qualified through the Contender Series, through the normal metric, and has been starting to make a name for himself in the Coanda roster, really becoming a consistent, solid performer and developing his sort of sim racing game. And then, 3rd place here is pretty good. And also to be honest, Hammersmith is really impressive me in that Williams F1 Team Gaming Academy car. Keeping up with Diogo Pinto. I mean, Pinto, what a seasoned veteran he is. 2-time iRacing world champion across Formula and Tin Top Racing. So, very, very good effort from him so far.
Yeah, I'm impressed as well. It's been a very good run indeed. Here comes Casabon in response to Oscar Pai, and I think he's going to stay behind this time round, coming into the final chicane, bumping over those curves. Oh, and hitting the wall there, Pai, I think, and Casabon has a good chance to go down the inside if he wants it, but he doesn't. He stays behind. David Sobrero, then Will Murdoch, the ones who are next in line, by the way, in this group at the front, which is now 4 seconds in front of Darren McCormack, who's just got his way into 7th position, in front of Olivier Piatek, and then Konstantin Scharf, then Michael Romanidis in that group. So they are definitely grouping up, and that, to be fair, is a sign of a circuit that is not so easy to overtake on. So clearly some places around here they are finding it difficult. In towards the hairpin they go, and Oscar Pai able to hold on easily at this time round as well. Somewhat puzzling how he's been able to get through on Casabon so easily and now not really pull away from him here and not get anywhere near the leaders either.
I think one of the key factors is how powerful that toe is. I think that a decision that Casabon's taking is that he's not going to just continually fight. I think it's very easy just to go back and forth, and his decision is that he's going to sit and not make sure that he's not getting involved in that. An incident it came up, I think maybe Nathan Moore on that lap potentially spinning. spinner there at the hairpin as well. We're going to see a replay of it coming through turn number 3. Oh, looks to be a little bit of unlucky contact, and unfortunately hits the wall pretty hard. Maybe some major damage for that car. So long race ahead. Maybe a pit stop is due in course.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad hit there for Saltpit Precision Racing, who dropped from where they were inside the top 40 to now outside of it, a long way down. 2 seconds now the gap to the lead for Oscar Pai, so it's continuing to extend out front for Diogo Pinto at the moment, and it is a pretty good day so far for Team Redline. They have not finished outside the top 3. They have won the third race of the day as well with Sebastian Job, so they are flying along at the moment, leading this VCO Infinity by 11 points over Coanda and already 21 points over EMM Esports, who are currently third place. Darren McCormack is in their car at the moment. But this is what I mentioned earlier. You've got to get in front of Redline, try and get in front of them to, to try and make things difficult for them, really, because otherwise they are going to run away with it, and that's what's in danger of happening at the moment. Although Coanda are still keeping them close in race 5.
Yeah, I don't know if you're noticing this right now, but I think specifically on that lap, especially as Pinto managed to get that gap towards the 8th, 10th range, the toe effect looks massively diminished. So I think Pinto's edging on the fact here that he might be able to actually break away from Hammerschmidt, and he could fall back into this Oscar Pai pack.
Yeah, I think that is potential. I mean, we're seeing Will Murdoch hanging. Well, he did anyway. So we'll see Will Murdoch hanging around at the back of the group in a similar way as well here of this 4. But now it's really a 3 as Murdoch fails to keep on with the slipstream at the moment as well. Casabon under pressure from Sobrero, who is looking down the inside there, but Casabon's going to be very eager, I think, for him to stay into line. They're all going to want to close up to second place because, as you mentioned earlier, it's a good performance from Hammerstedt at the moment, but all these guys who, I must say, I've seen more of in sim racing will be fancying themselves to get past him.
Yeah, but this is what this is all about. This event is all about. I was talking a bit with our junior in I think the Silverstone race about how it gives you an opportunity as a driver in one of these, obviously Williams F1 Team Gaming Club, or whatever it's called, I don't know, they should make a simpler name, but their academy entry here is probably showing a lot of the talents that they've managed to pick up and stuff, but I think it gives drivers a platform and an opportunity to perform and show what they're made of to some of these bigger teams and really make a name for themselves. I mean, from Hammerschmidt, this is a great race so far. Just look at the names he's in between. Well,
exactly, yeah. He's up there with the very best at the moment. Oh, I was a bit wide from Pai there, but he'll get away with that around turn 3 and 4. See, the blue line normally denoting track limits, not there, obviously, in towards turn 5, not there either. Then in towards the hairpin. Lap traffic here as well, by the way, which is going to be a problem. And again, Sobrero just having a look down the inside, or maybe just even getting into the mirrors of Thibaut Casabon there. There is the lap car is going to get in the middle of these guys now, so this is important for Casabon to try and get himself through on Oscar Pai, but maybe he'll be pleased to pick up a bit of slipstream on the banking.
Yeah, a good bit of slipstream there, and thankfully the lap car gets out of the way and doesn't affect this lead battle. A very interesting factor that is going to start to come into play in this race. We've seen it in a few of the races, not all, but lap cars do make a difference, especially around just a 75-second lap for your leader. Around here, it's going to get pretty congested pretty quickly. 55 cars to fit around a 75-second lap. On average, you know, that's pretty close between all the cars. So it's going to be, I think we'll start to see a few more cars getting lapped. And, we're only on lap 11 of this 36 lap race. So it could get quite hectic towards the end of this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even when we started this race and you just line them all up nose to tail, it's quite a big gap from first to last, and we did see them strung out straight away as Diogo Pinto accelerated out of that chicane there. He went to a point in the racetrack where it would string out the field as much as possible. Not sure whether that was the reason for it, but that was certainly the effect of it anyway. Michael Romanidis up into 8th place, defending from Olivier Piatek there with Constant Scharf as well. These guys, though, have caught up to Sam Hammerstedt, and surely they're going to be on the fringes of a bit of slipstream now. Hammerstedt only 7 or 8 tenths away as we approach 1/3 distance in race 5. He's now going to be on the defensive, I feel, and Diogo Pinto's going to be enjoying it because his lead is only extending.
Yeah, Pinto able to open up that gap. I think he was just working on getting Hammerstedt out of that tow range. And yeah, like you say, Pi starting to close into that range that he was once within of Diogo Pinto. And yeah, like you say, a little bit of lap traffic to come across, but yeah, it's a big race now on for Hammerstedt to try and keep the second position.
It is, and I think the odds are massively stacked against him actually through turn 1, close to the wall, but you've got to be at this venue. Don't want to get too close through turn number 2. It's a little bit wide instead. And there, look up ahead again, 2 more lapped cars here, including the number 10 and the number 7 in line at the moment. I'm never going to... Oh, Stinstone Motorsport, one of them, and 07 Racing, the other. There we go. I did work out who they were eventually. Nicola Furoni goes for a spin through the final chicane meantime. He was battling in and around the top 15 earlier. Might have even been hoping for a top 10 by the end of race 5, but unfortunately he has... Well, he's not going to get it. He drops all the way down to the bottom end of the top 30 here. It's just so easy to have trouble through this final chicane, especially when you're side by side. He's just pushing too hard there. Oh, and they might have got drilled there by somebody coming out of the final turn, and Andre Castro gets caught up in another incident.
Yeah, one of the BS hybrid cars, they've been running quite well in the standings so far, so that's super unlucky for that lineup. You're looking a little bit further back at the number 20 exiting the chicane and onto the second part of the Roval here. Currently not under too much pressure. It's the Fiercely Forward car. I think that Fiercely Forward have still got a lot to show in this competition so far. I think they've had a few bad qualifyings where they've been further back than they would have wanted. Leibisch starting 25th in this race here. And I think there's a lot more to come from them. They've been really good in the likes of IMSA Esports as of recently. And I would expect to see them challenging for the top positions in these races, but some great recovery drives so far from that crew, and I expect to see Leibisch going a little bit more further forward in the rest of this race. Yeah,
indeed. Although you realise that the further he gets up the field here, the more difficult drivers he has to make passes on here. Jürgen Frank, the very experienced iRacer, up in front of... Oh, and there's a spin meantime! One of the lap cars goes into a spin, and that's a way to gain a place. Nicholas Laubitz gets Jürgen Frank very easily there, certainly easier than he would have been expecting, and now the gaps ahead to close are bigger. Simon Carlards can't take advantage either, but that's lap traffic there, I believe, getting involved with those on the lead lap. You said it would be a big problem here, and we're not even halfway through this race. It is going to become massive later on in this race when all the lap cars are being fully realised and absorbed into the lead lap pack.
Yeah, and it's something that's going to develop. You know, we're not that far through. Like you say, generally not too bad of an incident. Unfortunate to have spun off that corner and get yourself in that sort of scenario. But, you know, I know all these drivers know what they're doing. So it's just one of those small incidents that you don't quite anticipate. We're watching from a cockpit view here, just coming off that corner. These cars are so powerful, and thankfully holds his brakes, doesn't get involved in anything, and takes a smart route to use that extra bit of off track to manage to mitigate that a little bit.
Yeah, able to get out of the way without affecting too many races in the end, but did cost Jürgen Frank a position in towards the back straight chicane for the leaders, as Hammerstedt is now caught by Oscar Pai. Thibaut Casamont and David Sobrero are there as well. Will Murdoch no longer part of this group. Actually, Sobrero is putting again pressure here on Thibaut Casamont. He's not close enough into the final chicane by the looks of things. On the brakes, bounce over the curbs again. Another lap car to deal with, and another lap down here. But Hammerstedt will be feeling the pressure in amongst some of the top sim racers in the world, and that is not great lappery. Outside for Oscar Pai. A lot of the time he's gained in the last few laps has just been lost there.
Yeah, and it's going to take and give. It's like when we're talking about traffic in multi-class races. It's just going to sometimes go for you, sometimes go against you. And it is a skill to manage that. You know, obviously you can't choose where the lap car goes or how fast or slow they are in the corner, but there is a skill in making sure that you're placing your car in the right place at the right time. And it is a big factor here. So we'll be seeing this develop across the course of the race. We've still got 25 minutes to go in our first race at the Charlotte Roval and for the Radicals. So still a lot to factor in, and actually Pinto losing a little bit of time that last time around as well.
Yeah, quite a lot of time. Oh dear, and that might be the reason. 2 lapped cars right in front there that he might have had to battle to get past there on the way into the final chicane. Not sure whether that's definitely the reason or not, but at the moment it looks like my timing screen is going all over the place. DLR SimLab and Samantha Town Racing Esports maybe have been battling right up in front of him. Hard to tell whether that is actually those two at the moment, but if it is, then they may have been the ones who are fighting between themselves over 45th position. Every position is a point in this series, and so it doesn't matter whether you're in the top 10 in battling for the win indeed, or whether you're down the field, you're fighting for a single point with the driver in front or behind you. And that is what's being played out here. Samantha Town Racing Esports moving past DLR SimLab, and Hammerstead is now going to have to do the same. But these guys, as they get further and further up the field in terms of putting people a lap down, they're less and less willing, it seems, to move out of the way.
Yeah, a decisive move there on the lap car for Hammerstead. Pi very, very close. If he wants to make a move, he'll be able to. He's going to get closer and closer to the back of Hammerstead, potentially force him to defend into this corner. Not quite here. Going to go over the curbs. Both these blue curbs are more than cuttable on the exit. Great exit for Hammerschmidt, but maybe a chance for Pi as we come into the final chicane.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to bound down the inside. I think he's going to back away for now, but let's see as he comes into the chicane. Yeah, he will indeed stay away for the moment. Oh, in the background, there's more lap cars there as Sobrero got past that DLR car, as we saw earlier on. Just a lap away now from half distance here from the Charlotte Roval. This is Romanidis, Piatek and Scharf, who have been fighting away for quite some time. Dara McCormack has been able to leave them behind, but these are all solid top 10 finishes, and when you're not redliner commander, I feel like a solid top 10 is something any of these teams can be pleased of.
Well, just making sure that you're consistently trying to qualify, finish in the top 10, compose your races really well is a huge factor here this evening. And you know, if, like I say, it just takes one race to finish 55th. Let's say you just get completely totaled on the first lap, you've lost a load of points, and that's going to make a massive difference even when we're getting into the final races of the day. So it's just a case of consistency. We heard Sabi saying in an interview the series rewards consistency, and that's what we're looking at a lot of teams focusing on right now.
Yeah, and it probably does tell a bit of a story about the end of the previous race as well at Okayama, where Redline could have gone a little bit harder for the win, but in the end decides to just back away and decide not to go crazy at the end of that race, which is a bit of a shame, but there you go. You can't argue with sense. 22 minutes to go, and the second half of the race begins with Oscar Pai putting a lot of pressure on Sam Hammerstead here for second. More traffic involved, as well as Diego Pinto 2 seconds up the road. As long as these guys fight, and it looks like they will be fighting for a while, the more he's going to run away from the rest. So it's damage limitation for them here, and Oscar Pai has got to finish second to try and limit that damage to just the 1 point.
Great to see Vitality competing in this Infinity project. A little lockup from Oscar Pai. Does it allow Casabon to get underneath? No, it doesn't, but he's able to lock in, get in close behind Oscar Pai, and he might have a chance to make a move, but he probably thinks against it. It depends where he kind of feels like his position is at in this race. Lifts off a little bit early into the chicane and focuses on getting the run through. Some more lapped cars to deal with. This is only going to get worse, especially if we get to a big pack of them. Yeah,
it is. They're already into the 40s as far as those being lapped are concerned, maybe even into the 30s now. So it is quite a lot of cars already the one lap down, but let's see if they will indeed catch up to a big group. I suppose the battle for 23rd is the most likely for that at the moment, and the battle for 23rd though is currently only about half a lap down on the leaders. We're just over the halfway mark in the race, so I think we'll be okay as far as a massive group is concerned, unless there's multiple cars on multiple different laps, but who knows, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Still so many cars left in this race, pretty sure everybody's still running, which, as you mentioned earlier, it makes it for a very busy racetrack, because when you flatten this circuit out to a 75-second lap time, 55 cars, you've not even got a second and a half to yourself, even if you're all equally spaced.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that perfectly defines what we're seeing out here on the racetrack and why we're seeing cars being lapped so early. We've still got 20 minutes to go here. and, you know, a good 16 laps. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. I'm wondering when Pi decides to make a move. When's he going to decide it's my time now to capitalise on this and try and make that move to try and get up into second place and maybe have a chance at catching Pinto. I don't think it's likely, given the pace of Pinto, the biggest qualifying margin we've seen this evening for him. But with all the traffic around, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, indeed. We've seen the gap come down to about a second for Diogo Pinto because of traffic in the pass, but you get the feeling that given how difficult this has been for Pi to actually make the overtake and how difficult the actual side-by-side itself is going to be a little bit later, I have a feeling we know where the race win is going to go. We're going to get our first repeat winner, by the way. 4 different winners in the first 4 races. Pretty good going for VCO INFINITY V. And Redline will be the first repeat winners as expected. I don't remember previous seasons going quite so many different winners early on in the races. I know later on in the races, especially teams like Redline, do tend to go on and dominate, and maybe throughout the night or indeed the long morning and long afternoon, actually, there is going to be tomorrow as well. There is going to be a long run of dominance from one of the teams, but so far it's been shared around very nicely. Diogo Pinto, though, more than 2 seconds in the lead on his way to go and change that. Pi close again in towards the far chicane. Casabon now is close though as well, so Pi's missed his opportunity as far as being able to do what he wants behind Hammerstead. He's got to keep an eye on his mirrors as well, with Thibaut Casabon there closer than ever.
I'd say nothing's guaranteed, Ewan, in this series. We're not sure what can happen yet. You never know what might happen to Pinto out front with all this massive lap traffic that he's having to deal with. Still riding on board in the passenger seat with Casabon. You can see him working away behind the controls of his Radical SR10 on the left-hand side. It's a tricky car to drive. Ford engine in the back of it, very, very powerful. Pi looks to maybe take sort of a defensive line, maybe partially attacking. Forces Hammerstedt to go a little bit wide, but Hammerstedt gets a good enough run off the corner. He can come down on Pi, but he isn't choosing to do so. So Pi is going to have a run here and might be able to get through.
He saw it as too much of a risk, I think, and Casabon's got the run on both of them. Oh, he's going to go 3 wide, is he? He's been pushed below the blue line there briefly into the chicane, and Oscar Pi's going to get the place. Thibaut Casabon makes contact with Hammerstedt, and it's Casabon who's sent into a spin. He rejoins again. He will drop to 7th here as Darren McCormack has the exit of the chicane. He's going to get ahead of him, and Darren McCormack's up another place, but Thibaut Casabon, after the contact at the chicane, drops down to 7th. He will be very unimpressed with that. He was trying to take 2 in 1. He'll be unimpressed with this lap traffic too, which is getting in his way for the 2nd time now in the last few moments. But unfortunately, he's made contact with Oscar Pi and Sam Hammerstedt, and that puts Vitality back down to 7th again.
Risk versus reward makes it 3 wide down on the inside and just has that side-by-side contact with Hammerschmidt. It's hard to call if it was anyone's fault, but it's that sort of risk that you're taking. You've still got 18 minutes left in this race. We're getting a replay right now. Live pictures in the bottom right, replay on the main screen. Watching him just go in. Doesn't take it particularly fast, but unfortunately, just due to the side-by-side nature, Hammerschmidt maybe a little bit wide, just taking a bit of caution. Tags round Vitality, and they dropped to 7th.
It's not the biggest bit of contact in the world, but Casabon is sent into a spin and down to 7th place. This is Michael Romanidis, meantime, who's been into the pit lane. Drops now down to 30th position in the field. And so that's not what they would have wanted to see there. Unfortunately, they're say quite a long way down now. Oscar Pi now into 2nd. Sam Hammerstedt is going to get no let up here, because after getting overtaken by Pi and briefly Casabon, David Sobrero has caught up to them all, and now he's putting the pressure on as well here for TC Esports. It does look a bit like a Williams Academy car, doesn't it? But it isn't. It's a TC Esports car, and Hammerstedt at the moment, for the defending, is just not ending for him.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see now how this might play out. It's a big one, that, isn't it? Because it's only a few positions for Casabon dropping back, but yeah, it's one of those. It's unlikely to see him get a chance to get back inside the top 2 here. So let's see. TC Esports Sobrero might have a good chance here to get himself onto the podium. So this might be a good opportunity for TC Esports to get a podium here. I'm not sure if they've had one so far in proceedings. I would gamble on no, but they have been running well, and we all know that they generally produce a very, very good esports team. Maybe a chance now into the final chicane.
According to the stats, they were third in the third race.
Yeah, the Super Formula Lights race. Yeah. That was with Torshalashi, I believe.
Yeah, that would make sense. They're only top 10 actually of the day. Oh, that was close. Sobrero, we saw the camera shot there, looking back for him there briefly. That was very close with Hammerstead at the end of that piece, and so the podium has now been lost for Sam Hammerstead. He's down to 4th position with Oscar Pai and Darius Sobrero overtaking him. Some would argue it's come about later than it otherwise would have with the spin of Thibaut Casabon, but there you go. He is now 13 odd seconds off the race leader. Diogo Pinto still flying out front into the final third of this race. Nicholas Laubis just lost a lot of places in that group for 8th place in the last couple of moments. Gregory Hovsen in 8th in front of Jürgen Frank and Simon Kolarz in the 10th position. There they all are. Hovsen at the front of it. And there goes Laubis trying to regain the places. One of the more dangerous things he can do there, not going down the inside of the hairpin, that's recognised, but trying to regain places in anger like that had danger written all over it to me, but he's gotten away with it, and he's up to 10th, although Kolarz isn't happy about it.
Yeah, a bit of a flash of the lights. He might look to make an instant move back. Pretty aggressive move from Laubis, but I think it was just about fair. I think with the way that the protest system works, I certainly wouldn't expect a protest for that move. Important to mention how the protests work. I think probably been mentioned before, but I'll just refresh the viewers if we've got anyone new tuning in. It's a penalty point system. So if you take someone out and you get, let's say, 3rd place because of it, you're not going to get a time penalty onto the end of your race. You're going to get penalty points, which will then therefore decrease your score. So it's more of a proactive sort of thing. So you keep your position, but you are liable to lose points in the championship, which will matter to the overall standings.
Yeah, indeed. We've already seen a few of those applied. I'm sure we'll see many more over the course of the remainder of these races. So much to go through for the stewards. I know we always took for 24-hour races where there are live stewards or whatever. It's a busy, or race directors, it's a busy day, but imagine this is even busier because you've got 24 race starts to do, which is where the incidents always are. And it always makes it very, very busy indeed down at race control. Diogo Pinto still leads, just over 3 seconds his gap as we've got 12 minutes to go. It looks like Team Redline are on their way to becoming the first repeat winners of this edition of VCO Infinity. Oscar Pai, David Sobrero, Sam Hammerstead, the group chasing behind, but even as they gain a little bit of time here now in the clean air, it's not going to matter because they're just too far back, it seems.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how this pans out. I mean, it's pretty impressive from Pinto in the last few laps. He's been a bit slow the last 2 laps, but he's managed to pull that gap up to the 3-second margin. That gives you a good buffer, even if you are to have an unlucky incident or maybe a small mistake going wide or locking up. Pai cautious to defend a little bit here from Sobrero, who's looking increasingly more racy as this race goes on. Lap car going high on the banking. Sobrero locking into that slipstream to see if he can get a little bit closer to Oscar Pai.
He is looking like he's threatening at the moment, and Pai's clearly looking in the mirrors and seeing him as a threat there, because just notice the way that he changed his racing line there. Oh, and he's not going to he's nearly hit the wall, goodness me, out of the back straight chicane. And if anything, that's actually batted Sobrero away. And here comes Sam Hammerstead, meantime, trying to retake his podium again. That was a mistake from Pai that is going to cost David Sobrero. Not quite, he's going to get away with it, but the way that wall sticks out there through the back straight chicane meant that Oscar Pai very nearly caused somebody else to lose a position. Yeah, and
I wonder why the stewards see that. I don't think anyone's going to be reporting that, but I wonder how the stewards would see that if it's... let's watch it on comp. This is a really great view to have, actually. You see just as Pai exits, and he just... I think it's more of a reaction from Sobrero, I'd say. I'd say he was just a little bit scared that he might make contact with that wall and then collect him with him. Again, a little bit of that preservation mentality, just trying to make sure that you're not getting involved in incidents. Pai defensive again into the hairpin, 10 minutes to go.
I don't know if it's unfair for me to say that overreacting maybe to Sobrero there, but anyway, you get car preservation and all that has to take precedence as they're looking for their second podium of the day, and indeed only second top 10, so they do definitely need the points. But even a team who are only looking for their second top 10 of the day right now are still in 10th place in the standings. They'll move well in front of Sim RC at the end of today, at the end of this race indeed, and we'll see them move many further positions up the field by the looks of things before this race is complete. Down in towards the final chicane again, and over the start-finish line for Oscar Pai, who leads another lap. 9.5 minutes to go, and I've got to say, just look comfortable even with the close proximity of those behind him.
Yeah, and I mean, Pai's done this before. Like, he's done a lot recently. When we're talking about over the last 12 months, you know, doing PASC is such a pressure cooker scenario, and it was his first year, and he did pretty well. I think he was second best placed rookie in the season. So ultimately, you deal with pressure. You know, you've always got cars not making a mistake. If you make a mistake in a grid like that, you're instantly punished. So it allows you to build up that wealth of knowledge and build up that ability to deal with this pressure. But Sobrero is not letting up, and the tow here is powerful from this range. Certainly a threat of making a move for that second position.
He is absolutely a lurking threat right now, in towards that chicane again, bouncing over the curves, and here come some more bits of traffic as well before this race is over. So thought we were largely done with that, but clearly not. We've got quite a few who are nearly a lap down at this stage in the race. We're into the 30s, by the way, as far as putting people a lap down are concerned, and these are teams now that have not even really had any sort of problems throughout the race. They're just being caught on speed now, and the fact they started so far back, which gave them such a disadvantage in terms of meters to the line as well. So it's going to be all very difficult for Pai to lead them through. It's not like they're following the leader who's already cleared a path. Pai is effectively clearing a path for those two who are right behind him right now.
Fastest lap around last time, David Sobrero, 14.9. First time we've seen that sort of lap times in the lap traffic. That's so close. You see them, both of them taking maximum risk here to remain on the back of each other. Defensive again for Pai. Maybe give Sobrero a chance on the exit. Is he able to get the power down? Well, he is, but he's now going to be tucked up right behind Pai. Potentially a move on into the chicane.
Potentially there is, as he looks to the outside now. Oscar Pai is going to be on the defensive. David Sobrero on the attack. Into the... Oh, and he's got it! Right round the outside of the back straight chicane. That's fantastic from Sobrero. He was late on the brakes. He was committed. And in the end, he looked like he was driving past a lap car. Pai is going to respond into the final chicane here. And he might well just take the place straight back again. Inside line. Oh, he's making contact and he's hit him. Sobrero's off. Pai's off. And Sam Hammerstead gets his second place back after all.
Oh, what drama. That's certainly going to be penalty points for Oscar Pai. A lot of aggression shown there against Sobrero. They both managed to retain sort of that top four position, but certainly penalty points in the knocking for Pai. That did look to be quite an aggressive move. Good to see that on replay to make a final call.
Yeah, it just seems extraordinary that they're still third and fourth as well, doesn't it? Considering how close the field is. This is it again. I mean, it is hard to... I think the reason why it's hard to say for definite is because that first contact definitely instigates the other ones anyway. But it's the question whether Pai drives into Sobrero there to cause the first bit of contact and then therefore causing everything that follows. But let's see what the stewards have to say later. So Hammerstead is immediately going to have that second place taken back of him again, as he just seems to be inferior in terms of speed compared to the other two. It is going to mean he finishes ahead of Sobrero because there's only 6 minutes to go, but he's not going to get ahead of Pai, who retakes second place again.
Yeah, super dramatic there. Very robust move. It'd be interesting to see kind of what the steward's verdict will be on that. I'm sure we'll find out. We're going to watch on board from the passenger seat down into the chicane. I mean, I'm not sure, to be honest. It's hard to say whether maybe Sobrero was turning in a little bit earlier, but you've got to say it's Pai's job to remain and give enough racing room, and even if there was a bit of internet contact there or a bit of netcode, it certainly doesn't seem to be much. No, it's going to be an interesting one to see what they say about that. It might go down as a racing incident in the end, we'll see.
obviously that's their job to decide, and I'm very thankful for that. 5 minutes to go in the fifth race of VCO Infinity, number 5. And Diogo Pinto leads by 5 seconds, more than, in fact, with these few laps remaining, 4 laps remaining when he gets to the line here. This has been dominant again from Team Redline. I mean, I said this at in one of the Infinities at some point. I just kept repeating it again and again for about 24 races that they will make a mistake at one point. And in one of the Infinities, they just didn't. And Redline finished right up towards the front on every single occasion. And you wonder whether history could repeat itself with regards to that. But it's been the perfect start so far, really. They haven't finished outside the top 3 in any of these races so far. But the encouraging thing, I think, is from a neutral point of view, is that there are teams keeping them close this year, with Coanda not that far away at all. If they don't get any penalty points, for example, they'll only be 12 points behind, which I think after 5 races isn't bad.
Yeah, and I think something important to note as we're watching a side-by-side action, I think coming into the final chicane, Laubich again on the aggressive, roundside that top 10, down the inside. They cut the curb across, does he clear just about, maybe still side-by-side, going into turn number 1. Down the inside, does he hold it? Laubich really sends it round the outside, able to hold position, and still remains inside the top 10. Yeah, an important point that you make there is that, yes, they've performed and they haven't made mistakes so far, but I'm looking at those Formula 1600 races. The first one we had, very chaotic. And also, important to mention, Diogo was actually knocked sideways and was knocked back around in that race during some of the contacts. So they got pretty fortunate there not to get serious wheel damage or be completely out the race. So they've already had a little bit of luck in that race, especially to recover to finish on the podium. So, like you say, those Formula 1600 races, pretty chaotic, and certainly could be some areas for opportunity for other teams.
Yeah, there's a very long gap between Formula Ford 1600 races, actually, of 5 hours, but it's coming up in just 2 hours' time into the chicane, and Simon Carlart is dropping down. Oh, and got no rear wing after contact with, it must have been the barrier to take the rear
Laubich.
wing off. And Laubich, yeah, there. He has gone down to the back. Well, he's going to go down to the back. Surely he can't hold on with that rear wing like that. Callian May's going to get through. What a drive from him, by the way. 11th position now for him, but Carlos has decided with 3 minutes to go that it's better to persevere with this damage than it is to pit. Yeah, so unfortunately, just a bit of an incident there. You're seeing Pinto managing to get through the lap traffic that we said was pretty difficult, and yeah, he's able to remain and grow that gap, actually, as we head in towards the latter stages of this race. Just 2 laps to go now, really. Bit of a sorry, I was watching other bits of contact elsewhere. Think a bit of contact between the EMM car and the Vitality car as they go through the chicane. With only a few laps to go, it's important to see, I think, a bit of damage to the front right there for McCormack. I think there was contact, yeah. The reason I was stopping, because I heard in the background somebody stopped getting back underway after contact with the wall. But anyway, Diogo Pinto just continuing on and continuing to dominate here in this 5th race of the day. The white flag will be waving when he gets to the start-finish straight next time around, and he will be on the top step again. He'll be taking his 2nd podium. As he mentioned, he has already done a race so far in this evening's proceedings. Enzo Benito is the only other driver to have been on the podium twice, and indeed won. Just been on the podium twice. Finished 2nd twice, indeed. Did the last race, and he did the very first race of the day as well. So Pinto going to be with 98 points just to his name by the end of this race, which is pretty impressive indeed. He sees the white flag now, and it's 1 more lap to go for Redline, who are on their way to becoming the first winners of 2 races in one VCO Infinity here in this year's edition. Yes, and fastest lap around last time as well for Pinto, so really trying to compound that effect and make sure that he's got the most dominant victory he can. Another 6 or 5 to 6 second margin for Redline. Do we still have a chance for Hammerschmidt to maybe get a move on Pi? Potentially more traffic
as we enter into... Oh, wow, that was really, really close as we went through the kink. It maybe makes him vulnerable now. Does the Williams Academy car have a chance to get a go at Pi? He's gone to the outside, side by side. Is it going to be a switchback? Maybe it will. Pi goes in deep, is able to retain the position, battle down to the chicane.
It's a decent exit from Hammerstead there, who really made use of Pi's defending, which was initially very good into the hairpin, but it does expose his run onto the chicane on the back straight. He's going to dive deep on the brakes, and Pi's not going to let Hammerstead round there. He's going to have to do it at the final chicane, if he does it at all. Diogo Pinto out front is going to win Redline's second race in this edition of VCO Infinity, but who is going to finish second behind him? Will it be Pi or Hammerstead? Pi's already had trouble into the chicane in this race. Hammerstead's on the inside, he's going to make contact again, and Hammerstead's in the wall. He's reversed into the traffic as he's trying to get back going again. Will Murdoch ends up on the podium somehow in the end, or is it, it's Sobrero as the timing screen updates. Sobrero gets to third, Murdoch fourth, Hammerstead is dropping still. He's not even going to get a top five.